Do you ever wonder what life would have been like without a diagnosis?
How have One Direction helped you personally?
How do you deal with ableist people that tell you to act normal? What's it like having autism?
Whoa.
Hi guys, my name's Chloe, otherwise known as Princess Ashton, and welcome to my channel. Hi, whoa, this is very pink. Is this too much pink? You can't have enough pink, that's fine. This is very pink though. So for today's video, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a Q&A because the last time I did one of them was a really long time ago. Like a really long time ago, and the questions were weird, and in all honesty, I got my mum and dad to ask me all of them. Because like no one wanted to ask me questions because I had like 3 subscribers. But that's not the case anymore, and I actually have subscribers now. So a couple of days ago on my Instagram, which by the way, if you haven't followed me yet, go follow me there. I put up a story asking you guys to ask me questions for this video, and you guys came through. Like I haven't had a look at any of them yet. I've just like done a quick little scroll just to like make sure that people actually ask questions and I wouldn't have to be asking my parents to ask me questions again. I always seem to be filming recently when it's cockatoo hour. So sorry about that. So let's just get into it. So the first question that comes up is HS2 is coming. That is all. I didn't ask to be triggered like this today. Thank you. Did you know what autism was before you were diagnosed with it? Not really. I was only 13 when I was diagnosed, so I didn't really know a whole lot about, well, anything, because I was 13. But from what I had kind of heard about it, all I knew was bad things and all I knew was the stigmas that came with it rather than what autism actually is. I'd heard the word before, but it had never been used in a correct or nice context. So I didn't really, it wasn't good. But as far as the actual understanding of it, I'd never heard of it before. None of my friends had had it. I say that like I had friends. No one that I knew had ever really spoken about autism or really even knew what autism was. It wasn't really as well known as it is now. So no. Okay, this is an interesting one. How do you deal with socializing so much? I'll get home and sleep and have meltdowns. Girl, same. I get this question all the time. Any single time that I post a video of me going to a concert or me going out somewhere or any of my vlog type of videos, I always get so many questions both on YouTube or on Instagram or on Twitter or anything. They're always like, you can't be autistic because you go out all the time and people that are autistic can't do this and blah. Other ones are like, oh, how does that work? And I can't do that, so how can you do it? They think that I'm just this crazy hyped up ball of fuzz all the time, and the truth of the matter is, I'm not. I love concerts and I love gigs and I love shows and I love bands and I love going out to those things. It makes me really happy and it makes me really excited, and the energy and the vibes of it, because I think I didn't have that growing up within my own friendship groups. So now that I'm older and that I'm able to kind of like go out and find that in other places, I love it. But I'll go home at the end of the day. When you're done, I'll go home at the oh my god. I'll go home at the end of the day and I'll be knackered. I will be so tired afterwards, and the longer the concert goes for, or the more days that I've been out, the worse the drop is. And so many people have this misconception that I'm always this loud, crazy, excitable, happy, bubbly person, and at the end of the day I'm not. Quite literally, at the end of the day I'm not. It's exhausting and I love it and it's so exciting, but it is really, really exhausting. If I have a concert, I will literally spend the next like 3 days in my bed with my dog, zenning out, doing absolutely nothing, watching reruns of Little House on the Prairie, not even getting my siblings to talk to me. Like I will literally become like a mummy. Like I'll be like, don't talk to me, don't go near me, no one touch me, I will eat your brains. I love doing it and I deal with it because I love doing it, and everyone's going to be different, and obviously a lot of people in the spectrum aren't going to enjoy it and aren't going to find that downfall enough of a reasoning for it. But for me personally, it makes me really happy, so I do it, but I have a huge sensory drop afterwards, and I'm like, you know, I accept that, and I'm like, you know what, that's fine, I'm happy with, yeah. And with that being said as well, it is really, really important to understand that those sensory drops are coming. If I have a concert or something coming up, I'll literally book out the next like 4 days of my schedule. I will literally do nothing for like 4 days afterwards, and I will always prepare myself for those 4 days, and I'll be like, okay, I know this is happening, so before I go to the concert, I'll make sure my room's clean, and I'll make sure my bed's made, and I'll make sure that like, everything's ready for the drop. Understands what can happen and understand that it's okay that it's going to happen, and if it's worth it for you like it is for me, Like, girl, go live your life, you know? Yeah. How old are you? This is a question, not even a question. This is a comment that I get on my YouTube all the time. People are like, how old is she? How old are you? You don't act your age. I don't know what age you are, but you certainly don't act it. I did a school talk 2 weeks ago, and one of the students, dead set, looks at me and goes, you look like a Kmart version of Jojo Siwa. Also, what is this doing? Who are you? No, okay. I am 21. I turned 22 in like 3 weeks, which I'm very scared about. I don't like that. Do you take things literally? How do you find out the meaning of these metaphors? Fun story time. One of the biggest traits that people know about autism is that we take things very literally and we're not very good at sarcasm because we'll think you're being serious, and things like metaphors can really mess with us. You know the saying like, it's raining cats and dogs? I heard this saying. My mum was literally like, oh, it's raining cats and dogs outside. I dead set went outside, got my jacket on, was like frothing at the mouth with excitement because I was expecting to see cats and dogs everywhere. There was none. And I was really just like, I cried, like snot, like proper tears. Just aspy things. So yes, I do take things literally, but it's not just metaphors necessarily, like, because I've kind of understood the way that humans work and that metaphors are a part of our society. But the things that I do take literally is if someone says something's gonna happen and then it doesn't. People say things like spur of the moment, one-off random things like, oh, we're going to be doing this today, or like we're leaving at this time and we'll leave like 5 minutes later, or we like don't have what we're having for dinner, what we said we were gonna have for dinner, or we don't do a certain thing that we were told we were gonna do, and it like you might as well have told me that World War III started. Like, my brain can't handle it at all. What do you do for self-care? And looking after yourself is happens in various ways, and I think people have this kind of misconception of self-care, which I'm going to do an entire video about as well because I think it's really, really important. But people seem to have this misconception of self-care and this kind of romanticized Tumblr version of self-care, which doesn't actually really help in the grand scheme of things. So people will be like, oh, self-care day, I'm gonna have a bath and I'm gonna do a face mask and I'm gonna do an adult coloring book, and yes, that stuff is lovely and it's really good and it can help you to de-stress and make you feel better, but at the end of the day, that's not real self-care. Self-care doesn't always mean like scented candles and Disney movies and bath bombs and all that fun, pretty Tumblr stuff that, you know, aesthetic self-care. Self-care doesn't mean that. Self-care means have a shower because you haven't showered in 3 days, and it means make yourself a healthy meal because you've been eating chips for 3 days, and clean your room because it's proven that having a filthy room is going to make you have a filthy mind, and no one can thrive inside of a filthy mind. Self-care is looking after yourself for tomorrow. Self-care is doing things for yourself that your future self is going to thank you for. And I know that this is kind of turning into a rant, but this is something that I'm really passionate about because it's really important and people don't really talk about it. Like, this is a very like taboo subject because people think that like, oh, if it's like self-care, like, you know, I don't know, man. But with that all being said, obviously there are days where it's just like stress days, like, you know, days after a concert or days where I'm just feeling yuck. And those are days where I will have a bubble bath or lie down and watch movies for a bit or get comfy clothes on and cuddle my dog and play with my horses and stuff. But there are days, and I do have these days a lot, where I just feel bland and powerless and that I don't want to do anything and like, what's the point, and all that sort of stuff. And it happens to everyone. Like, I'm not afraid to admit that it happens a lot more than I would want it to. And those are the days where bubble baths and comfy clothes and face masks and scented candles and Disney movies aren't going to do anything. They're the days where you need to tell yourself to get up, have a shower, do things, just do things. And you don't have to go out and like run a marathon or like, you know, go out and do something crazy. Days like that, I'll write myself a list, and I tend to write myself lists most days of things that I need to do and things that I need to accomplish. And seeing lists and seeing tasks and things that I need to do and then I have yet to do and things that I have done, it can kind of empower you and motivate you to keep doing things. So that's kind of a form of self-care in itself, I guess. Favorite band right now? One Direction. I don't care that they're not a band right now. They're my favorite band right now. No one come for me for that. What's it like having autism? The way that I describe autism, whenever I'm trying to describe it to kids or to people that don't know or to big groups or something, the way that I describe it is it's like you've landed on an alien planet and this planet looks a lot like Earth and there are a lot of similarities, but there are also a lot of differences which only you seem to be able to see. So for example, the people on this planet, they speak really loudly and they say things that they don't mean and that don't make sense. Like for example, it's raining cats and dogs, and the things on this planet are loud. Like the lights on this planet are loud. Things on this planet seem to worry you and upset you that don't necessarily even compensate into other people. People interact in weird ways and they do weird things, and the whole planet just works in a way that it doesn't work with the way that your brain understands the way it's supposed to work, you know? It's like you've crash landed on this planet and the scientists back home didn't give you a handbook of how to interact with it and how it's supposed to work, and you kind of have to figure it out all by yourself. That's what autism is like, and obviously that's just a very, very brief overview, and it's going to change for each person. Each person is different, each person's experience with autism is different, but that's just kind of a way that I like to describe it, and I found that it kind of covers all bases. So hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of an idea. Yes, this one is really nice. I have so many questions here that are like, how are you feeling? How are you genuinely feeling? How are you in yourself? You guys are so nice. It makes me really happy. You guys are so lovely. I'm doing good. Thank you. Who is your favorite Disney princess? Anna. I'm obsessed with Anna. Anna was actually the princess that helped me learn how to speak. I know that sounds weird. Do I need to do another story time? Maybe I do. I'm obsessed with Anna. She's my favorite. I love her. But my favorite Disney character is Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. I met Tinkerbell at Disneyland Hong Kong when I went the first time, and I literally got so excited that I have an epileptic fit and like paramedics had to come, and my mum was like, dude, no, she's fine. She's just excited about meeting Tinkerbell. And they're like, okay. How do you go about eating vegan with the difficulties that come with autism? This is a good question, and I do want to do a video about this specifically too. Before I went vegan, I was the fussiest eater you could ever imagine. I only ate white food. I only ate bland food. I only ate food with like less than 2 ingredients in it. None of my food could touch. We need boundaries, right? And as autistic people, boundaries are good, and we like rules and we like regulations, and having white, bland, colorless, boring food was my boundary. Going vegan, I had a new set of boundaries, and there's still foods that I will not touch. I can't eat with spoons. I know that sounds weird. I can't use spoons like that. I don't know why they weird me out. And I also can't eat red food, and again, don't know why. It just weirds me out. Like, it makes me feel sick thinking about it. And the idea of not harming other living creatures was more impactful to me than my fear of colorful foods. Yeah. Favorite musical? Oh my god, Matilda. Matilda, Matilda. It is... I could go on for years about how much I love Matilda. Oh my... Tim Minchin is a genius. Matilda, yes. Do you ever wonder what life would have been like without a diagnosis? All the time. And the answer is probably not very good. People need an identity, and people need to know who they are, and people need to know their place in the world. And before I was diagnosed, I was out of place and I was ostracized and I felt like I didn't belong. So many people are like, oh, I don't want to tell my child that they're autistic. I don't want to give my child a diagnosis, but that's really not going to do anything helpful to them whatsoever. Once I knew that I was autistic and once I knew what that meant, it made me feel like I wasn't so alone, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. This is why I'm like this. This is why I do these things. This is why these things don't make sense to me. This is why I'm really good at these things. I'm really bad at these things, and it gives you an identity. I know a lot of people might like disagree with that, but like, this is my video, so like. Current favorite album / playlist. Louis Tomlinson's album. It hasn't come out yet, but it's my favorite album. What else do I like? Harry Styles' album, all the One Direction albums, Niall's album. I've been obsessed with Grace Vanderwaal recently, like crazy obsessed. Like, oh my god, I love her. Oh my god, I love her. I love her. Send Me On My Way by Rusted Roots, Don't Be Shy by Cat Stevens, Clearly by Grace Vanderwaal, Little Wonders by Rob Thomas, which is my favorite song in all existence. Like, I know I say that with everything, but Little Wonders by Rob Thomas, oh my god, it's my favorite. Like, I cry every time. Like, it's weird. Like, it's, oh my god, I love it so much. I love it so much. Oh my god, I love it. Galway Girl by Steve Earle. Yes, they're my favorites. How have One Direction helped you personally? Girl, oh my god, okay, oh my god, so much. Like, being part of the, oh my god, I hate saying this, I sound so cringy. Whatever. Being part of the One Direction fandom, it gave me a sense of who I was, and it made me feel like I belonged somewhere, because for my entire life, I didn't belong anywhere. Being part of the One Direction fandom, I met people, and I had Tumblr accounts and Twitter accounts, and I made friends, and people didn't look at me as like, oh, that's Chloe, the weird girl. They were just like, oh, that's Chloe, she's a Louis girl, you know, like whatever. Because of One Direction, I was able to step out of my comfort zones, and like I was able to go to concerts by myself and freaking travel to Sydney by myself and like do all these really cool things that I never would have had the drive to do, and I never would have thought I would have been able to do without that. I'm gonna cry. I have a tattoo of them. I'm pretty sure I signed like a waiver form that my dad made for me when I was like 7, like telling him I would never get a tattoo. And I got a tattoo, and it's a One Direction one. So if that doesn't say something, I don't know what does. How do you deal with ableist people that tell you to act normal? Okay, so in all honesty, I used to get really, really upset. I'd feel like I wasn't good enough, and I would feel like I had to be different and to try and act normal, and I would feel like I had to be someone who I wasn't. Now, I realize that their opinions actually mean nothing to me, and that their opinions are actually kind of pointless and kind of worthless, you know? And I have comments all the time. Now, I get so many comments on YouTube and even in real life that are telling me to, oh, well, you could fit in a little bit better if you just tried to act normal. Or, oh, maybe your life would be a little bit easier if you just tried to act normal. Nobody ever changed anything by being normal. The world doesn't change by people trying to fit in. The world doesn't change by people trying to act normal, by trying to be like each other. The world needs different. Our world doesn't work without different. Our world doesn't thrive without different. We need different, and I'm happy to be that different, because being normal sounds really boring. Like, y'all have fun being boring. I'll be out here living my best life with my glitter and my fairy lights and my sparkles and my flower crowns and my too loud, too fast talking voice. Have fun. Tips for self-advocacy, including telling people you're autistic. The sooner you learn to love yourself, and the sooner you learn to accept and appreciate yourself for who you are, the easier it is to show other people the same thing. How do you deal with negative thoughts, including anxiety, depression, eating disorders, etc.? Truth is, it's still hard sometimes, and I'll be the first to admit it, that although I like to say I'm recovered, and although I like to say that I try to be as positive and as happy as I can, like 90% of the time, there's still days where it's hard, and there's still days where you get bad thoughts, and where you get like just like this train of like negative bad thoughts in your head, and it's hard. It's really hard. I think personally the most important thing and the best thing for me is to find what you're here for. Find the things that make you happy, to find the things that make you want to keep going, find the things that make you thrive, find your loves and find your passions and find your strengths. And even though I know it's hard to believe it some days, I promise you have them. Surround yourself with people who love you and who support you and who accept you for who you are, and it's easier to love and support and accept yourself. And when you're struggling, the last thing you want is for people to add to that negativity. We don't need that negativity in here. That can, no. Be kind to yourself and understand that everything needs dirt to grow. And I know that sounds like some sort of like cheesy like Tumblr quote, or like some sort of quote that like a mum would put on Facebook, but it's kind of true, you know? Also, it's so important to understand that you're allowed to need help. You're allowed to reach out. You're allowed to seek support. You're allowed to not be Superwoman every single day, or Superman, I don't know who you are. You're allowed to not be perfect every single day of your life, and that's okay, because none of us are. Life is so incredible and so beautiful, and it took me a really, really long time to understand that, and the amount of my life that I've wasted not realizing that I'll never get back. And I think it's so important just to, I don't know, man, like treat every moment as a party. Treat every moment as an occasion, you know? So yeah. Anyway, that was the video for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did like it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I don't mind. Do whatever makes you feel happy. Do whatever makes you feel good. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Just being